Hello friends, how do you do? My name is Nixon. If you are new to my channel, you are warmly welcome, and today I'd like to address some differences between a stratocaster and a Les Paul guitar. So this one will represent the Les Pauls. This is a Gibson Les Paul Studio model, and this one is a Harley Benton standard series stratocaster HB ST20 to represent the Strats. So basically, when you talk of Les Paul, if you don't mention any brand, you are referring to Gibson Les Pauls. And if you say a Strat without referring to any brand, you are talking of Fender Stratocasters. So that should be in mind. And these are the most iconic guitars out there in terms of electric guitar. So as you can see here, I'm not going to talk of the tones and details of construction, but I'm just going to highlight some of the differences you can see right away. This could help someone who is willing, or ready to buy his or her first electric guitar. It can be as a guide to decide which one would fit better. So generally, I should say Strats are used. You can use any of these guitars basically in any music, but generally for the Strat you talk of music like blues, country, pop, and the new music like electronics and so forth. While for the Les Paul, generally you are talking of rock, talking of pop, you are talking of blues and so forth. So those are general, though you can play any of these guitars in any of those type of music depending on other factors which we will discuss later. So basically, as you can see, this Stratocaster here has two cuts. When we say two cuts, we are referring to this part. So this is the first and this is the second, while on the Les Paul you have only single cut. So this is known as a single cut because of this part, and this is known as a double cut because of this. So this one helps when you want to go for the higher frets around here. It's much easier doing that on a Strat because of these cuts, and also it is a bit difficult doing it on a Gibson or a Les Paul. And also the Stratocaster has belly cuts over the body. So if you can see here, this part is curved going like in, so it's easier to put your hand here while you are playing. And it has a belly cut on the other side here, if you can see this part here, which is easier when you are playing, especially when you are sitting. This one fits well on your body, so it's much more comfortable to play compared to a Les Paul model. This one has curves on the board over here. If you can see, if I do this way, you can see it's curved here, but on the other side, no belly cut, no any curves, just this body. But also the Les Paul is more thick, the body is more thick, is thicker than a typical Strat. So this one is going to be a little bit comfortable to play compared to this one, though that is also subjective. And generally speaking, the Les Pauls are generally heavier than the Strats because the Strats they use either ash or alder or pine, which are light woods, while the Les Pauls generally they use mahogany, which is very heavy. Though they have other models like this one, which has chambers inside the maple cap, but generally the Les Pauls are heavier. So if you will play your music for say longer time and probably standing, you are going to be comfortable with the Strat compared to the Les Paul. Having said that, the Les Pauls generally they have two type of wood, so mahogany and the maple cap, which goes on the top, while the Strats generally it's just a single piece of wood. There is no one wood sitting on top of the other. Though when we say single, we should not confuse or mix with what they used to make this guitar. So this one can be like two pieces, like maybe the other piece is this half and the other on that side. But if you could cut cross sectionally, it's only one piece, unlike this one which has this one and this one. So two pieces, one is sitting on top of the other. And because of that, Les Pauls are heavier and they are more resonant compared to the Strat. So talking of this also, the Les Paul has the so-called set neck. So if you can see here, this is the body and this is the neck. So the joint between the two is glued in here. So this one has more, the neck has more connection, if you will, or is more connected to the body compared to the Strat, which is bolt on. So bolt on means if you remove this bolt, you are just going to separate the neck from the body. So because of that, Les Pauls are more resonant, or more resonant than the Strats. So otherwise, you can see the input part where you connect your guitar to, say, the mixer, or maybe the amp is right here, while for the Les Pauls is here in the middle of the body, just below here if you wish. So this one is going to be easier to connect your cable depending on how you wish. Most people I see will just connect here and come on top of here where you have the strap, and for the Les Pauls the same, just connect here and come here. But if you have an angled input pin, it is going to be easier to connect it through the Strat part, I mean the Gibson part, the Les Paul part, rather than on a Strat because of that angle. And let me demonstrate this. So here the cable is angled, so if I connect it this way, it is easier. But on a Strat, if I connect it this way, I can't because of that angle. So it has to be either this way or the other way. In other words, you can't, it's only this part and this part, so you can't rotate this part because of that. It might be a preference for some players, but also the Strat has a trem arm, so you can see. So this one is used for bending the pitch a little bit to get other type of tunes, I mean other type of sound, while generally the Strat, the Gibson doesn't have that one. And if you can see, this one has 6-point tremolo, as you can see, and this one has stop tail and the tune-o-matic bridge, which is not here on the Stratocaster. So if you want to play some bends using the trem arm, then you should get a Strat, because it is not on a Gibson or a Les Paul. And having that said, also you can see the differences here. The pick guard on the Strat is very big. The whole of this is the pick guard, and it has all the controls and the pickups on it, while on the Les Paul the pick guard is just this small part, and you can separate the pickups from the pick guard as well. And for the controls, you have 2-tone controls and 2 volume controls, and for this one has you can split the coils, so you can split these humbuckers to get the sound of the P90s, while on a Strat generally you have 3 single coil pickups, so you call SSS, single single single, though other Strat have humbucker single single or humbucker single humbucker pickups, but generally that's. And you have 5-way selector. You can play this one or a combination of this one alone, or a combination of this and this one alone. So this one is more versatile in terms of tone compared to the Les Paul, which you have only this one and this one, or the combination of the two. So basically you have like 3 type of sounds, and this one you have 5 types of sound. And this Strat, some have modification, you can also combine all the 3, so you get an extra 60 kind of tone. Moving to the neck, basically the Strats, the Les Pauls generally have a mahogany neck as well, so also becomes very heavy, as we have said, while this one can use different materials. And also the neck, this one, majority of the Strats have the dot inlays, while the Les Pauls have the trapezoid or block inlays, though there are a few models for the Les Paul having the dots, but generally they have these blocks. And going to the headstock, generally on the Les Pauls you have the cover for the truss rod, while on the Strats generally the cover for the truss rod is open. I mean, there is no cover, and you have 2 string trees, and on the Gibson you don't have any string tree, and the 3 strings, the bottom one goes to this part and the upper one goes to that part. And you can see on the other side it's like this. As we have seen, this is angled, while on a Strat you have all the strings going straight through the bottom 4 going through the string trees. Some guitars have only 1 string tree, but that's how the way it is. And on the back you have the tuners like this. So those are the major differences between a Strat and a Les Paul. As I've said, that there are a lot of different models and modification within these two, but these are some of the basic ones. Generally, you can play any music in any of these instruments, but as I've said, the Strat is more used for like R&B, blues, country, and pop, while this one is for heavier music like rock, like heavy blues, and so on, because mainly of the pickups. These pickups, they sound very hot compared to this one. But also, if you like that Strat tone, the so-called chimey sound, and more straight sound, the Strat sound, get a stratocaster. But if you are looking for a warm or like nice sound, um, soft tone, get yourself a Les Paul. So other than that, thank you for watching up to here. If you have any questions or I have missed any of the important differences, and you have any other information that I missed, please let me know them in the comment below. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.